Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 216 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is Tuesday, September 26, 2023, and it is going to be a cloudy day here at the Beaver Lodge with just a little bit of sun for maybe about 2 or 3 hours this afternoon, but mostly cloudy today. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Good morning to the kits. We're here this morning. Good morning, Kit Dan, Kit Taffy G, Kit Saucy, Kit Cassie. Hey. Hope the harvest is going well. Kit Jillian and Kit Elaine so far this morning. Glad that you've popped in to join us. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Oh, and there is a Kit Pete in from Down Under, popping up here at the North Pole. Hello, buddy. Lovely to see you.
They're going into summer. They're going into spring, and we're going into autumn.
Okay, so we said thank you to our founding sponsors, I believe. But I'll say it again, just in case: Pepper Master, Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. And, well, let's do the most important thing that we do is, because we've been away for a while, an extra day. Hello to you, Mr. Grizzly, and how's your mental health today?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. Mental health-wise, I'm not entirely sure. I woke up in a state of mass confusion when the alarm went off. I thought it was Saturday, and I thought, I can go back to sleep. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have an alarm on Saturday. Why is my alarm going off? Oh, right. Yes, it is not Saturday. It is a working day. What day is it? I don't know what day it is. I woke up feeling stressed because I had bizarre dreams. So bizarre that I was... Let's just say there was a heavy workout involved in the dream. So I was flexed and stressed, and I think that's why I'm able to stay so lean. I work out in my dreams. Well, I work out in my dreams, and I wake up. I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, I think I'm okay today. Let me get some more coffee into me, and I'll give you a later. I don't know, a clue later. I don't know.
Okay. So, welcome to the Eager Beaver Lodge weight loss plan. Worry your weight away.
I do not recommend that. Anxiety is a horrible, horrible thing.
I
And
brought
yeah,
my
no.
pencil.
Give me something to write on, man.
Hey, I'm just saying Waldo was really sweating. He was dropping some pounds.
Oh, yeah. I noticed a comment from Cassie. She says, "I can't believe it's fall already. Waking up in the dark is difficult." Yeah, it can't get. Yeah, I wake up at 5. Some days I get out of bed right around then. Most days I lie there for another hour to wake up and read. And 6 o'clock I roll out of bed and it's still dark out, and that's difficult. Now, in November we'll change the clocks over. It's like, yay, we get more daylight hours in the morning. Yeah, but not long enough because I still walk to work in the dark. So,
And sometimes walk home from work in the dark.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
this is the difficult time.
Yeah, we had Kit Cassie going harvest done and grain in the bins. Thank you for asking, Mr. Beaver. And Cassie says, do we have to solve the equations behind Mr. Beaver? Again, if people turn the volume off and we have very, very serious faces with you with the bookcase and me, the math behind me, it looks like we're like a very, very serious, almost
Every now and then I'll
academic.
just point, right, and do this.
Brush my beard here.
Not approvingly.
Listen, if you listen to us without the sound right now, if you just watch
Yeah,
us,
just
we
watch
look
for it,
we look plenty smart. and serious, very, 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 very serious. Except for the
literally all Greek to me.
No, you do not have to solve the equations. That's been me trying to make the whole Ukrainian, is he a Nazi, not a Nazi? Is he a little bit of Nazi? Is it okay to use nuance? Maybe type debate that's been going on. And part of that also is trying to figure out the whole history of India and Punjab as well, because the 40 million
The one at 14.
here are all experts, and we were all brought to what modern day sort of acceptable narrative of the history of this is. Because yes, I mean, in Canada we all go to school learning about the history of India and stuff like the Holodomor, which well, that's exactly it. Yesterday, at one point, I'm like trying to figure out this stuff going on because, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, kids and cubs, um, the apology heard around the world, literally, was delivered by the Speaker of the House, Anthony Rota, because, again, depending on which side you hear telling it, and there's way more than two sides in this case to this story.
Oh, yeah.
Someone, Yaroslav.
I don't know what happened. You dropped off there for a second. You just, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there either. Okay, so of course, so what happened is that the Speaker of the House, when President Zelensky was here from Ukraine and addressing Parliament, in the gallery, the Speaker has guests often, and there was a guest, 98-year-old veteran of the war named Yaroslav Hunka, was in the audience, and the Speaker of the House acknowledged him and got everybody to stand and give him an ovation. Then we found out that for part of the time in the war, he fought with an SS unit. That sounds pretty bad. But, and if that was just the story, it's like, well, gee, why do we have a 98-year-old former Nazi living in Canada who has citizenship, and why was he invited, and how did he get on the invite list, and why did we applaud him, and how could this be missed, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Well, again, you had a whole bunch of people rushing in with their hot take, just like in the case of India. And as we mentioned, right, you're going to get a lot of the Harper IDU Modi trolls coming in. Yeah, a lot of people well, it's like Quebec separatism. No, it really isn't like Quebec separatism. That's like just tell me that you hunted on Google for Canada and separatist movements and put it together and then said, ah, so you got one too. Because,
No.
I mean, I don't know much about India, but the little bit that we've picked up over the past couple of days, and that, yes, there's a reason why Hindus may see it differently because there were things and there were deaths that happened in the Punjab, I guess. But we had one death with the FLQ thing.
Mhm.
One. And then the prime minister came in and put on the War Measures Act. And, now we have a country where you can have a crazy idea like being a separatist and not be a terrorist. Right. So just as that type of, it's happening on both sides, right? Using the shortcuts. So
Mhm.
he fought with the SS. He's a very, very bad man. There we go. And
Well,
then some.
I'm doing the math on this though, and it's like he's 98, so that means he would have been born in 1925. So at the start of the war, he would have been what, 14?
Yeah.
And 18 at the end of it. So I need some more facts here because
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. Now, I am far from an historian, right? But it seems, from my understanding, and I very, very, very much could be wrong, so please read up on this yourselves,
Mhm. Mhm.
because this is just my best of understanding based on what's like crossed my feed, and I'm really not trying to take positions on that one yes or no. I'm trying to take positions on stupid stuff like this, and we'll get to that. Um, but it seems that Ukraine was fighting for an independent Ukraine.
Mhm.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing against Russia.
We
Except
need a
at
history
that,
teacher in here.
yeah, exactly. Except at that time, Russia, UK, and the United States in that war were the
Mhm.
allies. So you got these tweets going, listen, it's not hard. If you were fighting against Russia, you were with maybe not that easy where Ukrainians are concerned.
Well,
Maybe. It
and
seems
you
that
got to
there's a history
remember,
there.
at the beginning of the war, the Russians were in league with the Germans at the beginning, and then they switched
And then they
later on
switched later on.
when Hitler decided he wanted to take over Russia.
Yeah.
But I do not know enough about this to make a full. I've had a lot of people text me, email me, what's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? I haven't read enough on it to know, to form a thought. I don't want to rush out and make a statement until I know. I don't want to look like Skippy and say, wow, if he was a true Nazi, an actual Nazi, then boom, Anthony Rota needs to resign.
Well,
But
I think,
is there not a vetting process there before you bring in a guest?
well, here's the thing. We'll get to all of that. Uh,
So
but it seems,
I'm
yeah.
still.
Okay, I have some of that for you. Um, but it seems that, and again, not historian, so please check this up, and hopefully, if I'm wrong, people will correct me. And as we go over this over the next few days, because this will be a story in a while, we'll probably get it more precise. Um, is There was something called the Holodomor? It seems that where
Mm,
Russia provoked a famine in Ukraine, like by trying, I guess, blocking off borders, whatnot, stopping food from getting. I'm not exactly how sure. This- So you have a situation where people in Ukraine, it seems, where do you want to fight for Stalin or do you want to fight for Hitler? Uh, and the situation of maybe the enemy of my enemy is my friend, no matter how unsavory my enemy is. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff
mm,
going on. I don't know what's true, but it's a little more complicated than he was fighting with an SS unit. I It's a little more complicated. The way that they would like us to believe it is that this person, when he was, I guess, 14, 15, 16, just walked up to the Nazis and said, "Hey, exterminating Jews, that sounds like a great idea. Where do I sign up?"
mhm.
If you're in a country that's at war with another country who's also at war with other countries, and the country you're at war is trying to provoke a famine, is trying to starve you out, and you're fighting them and somebody else is fighting them, and say, hey, since you're fighting them, let's fight together. And I believe that back in the day, if you weren't Aryan, you couldn't actually join the Nazi group, so your only other option was the SS. And let's remember that there was a lot of join the SS or we'll shoot you on the spots during that time as well. We don't know this man. What we do know is that back in the Mulroney era, there was a public commission. There was a Deschênes public inquisition on commission on this public inquisition. Public, yeah, really. Gee, there's a Freudian.
Inquisition. What a show! The Inquisition. You gotta go. Don't you remember that from History of the World?
Yes, Mel Brooks. Oh man,
Mel Brooks.
So apparently this was looked at then, and the particular unit with which this person was affiliated, it was not able to be determined that this unit was part of that effort specifically and dedicated to war crimes and dedicated. And as a result, there are several people in Canada over the years who have received Canadian citizenship from that unit. But only this weekend are we having a problem with it.
It's funny how that happens. Now, look, there's no splitting hairs on this. If it turns out the man was a real Nazi, and that was the case, well, then Rhoda needs to step down.
Oh, he still needs to step down.
Oh, I agree, he does, period.
Regardless, but for a whole other reason.
Yeah, of course. But the vetting process needs to be stepped up. It just does not look good no matter what. It's bad all the way around. But we still don't know all the details. So that's why I'm not quick to make a rush to judgment just yet, because it's all very fishy to me. Like, how could he get into the House of Commons as a guest of the Speaker of the House if his past was as checkered as it supposedly is? Because there is a vetting process.
There is.
So did they drop the ball on that?
But we'll get to there. Now, there's a website that's called euromaidenpress.com. So Euro, EURO, Maiden, MAIDAN, press.com. Now, this...
D-A-N?
Yes, MAIDAN, Euromaidan or Euromaidan Press. Now, if you go to the About Us section, it says, Euromaidan Press EP is an online English-language independent newspaper launched by Ukrainian volunteers in 2014. EP focuses on events concerning Ukraine and provides translations of Ukrainian news, expert analyses, and independent research. Through its work, EP strives to bridge Ukraine with the English-speaking word. EP is a registered non-governmental organization in Ukraine. NGO Euromaidan Press, its current head of the board is Alia Chandra. All right? It has an article. Fact check. Did the Canadian Parliament really invite a Nazi? This is Ukrainian press from Ukraine about a Ukrainian. I hope they would know. Right? So, Anthony Rota, Speaker for the House of Commons of Canada, apologized for praising the 98-year-old Ukrainian World War II veteran Yaroslav Hunka after Canadian Jewish groups alleged a connection to the Holocaust. However, quote, these accusations lack merit and align with Putin's agenda of labeling Ukrainians as Nazis.
This is where it's all fishy, right? I've read a lot of commentary from people that I'm asking if this was a setup, if somebody set them up to fall,
Again, I will get to that. So
I know, but it's just I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole is what I'm getting.
But without going down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, there are questions that you must ask. When you turn around, you go, I've got questions. This is the time to have questions. So,
oh yes.
So that's what I know the most about the situation, right? There may have been shifting loyalties. There may have been coercion. There may have been choices between two devils, and which one do you pick? And did you really have a choice, especially if you're starving or someone has a gun to your head? And you have a Ukrainian press group within Ukraine that's a registered charity that is saying that these allegations are not are without merit, that actual Ukrainians recognize this guy as a Ukrainian hero.
Mhm.
Now, again, that's just this one organization. I don't know if this organization has the general narrative or speaking from a perspective. It's the best I've been able to find. Now we get to some of the stupid stuff. Rhoda issued a statement.
Mhm.
And the statement said, on Friday, September 22nd, in my remarks following the address of the President of Ukraine, I recognized an individual in the gallery. I have subsequently become aware of more information which causes me to regret my decision to do so. I wish to make clear that no one, including fellow parliamentarians and the Ukraine delegation, was aware of my intention or of my remarks before I delivered them. This initiative was entirely my own, the individual in question being from my writing and having been brought to my attention. I particularly want to extend my deepest apologies to Jewish communities in Canada and around the world. I accept full responsibility for my actions. Now, here's where I'm going to say where Rhoda should resign, even though maybe he shouldn't have to, if the guy is not a Nazi. But the thing is if you write a statement saying, I did something, I've subsequently been aware of more information, quote unquote, and more
Mhm.
information is the guy's a Nazi. Let's assume he is for the purposes of this.
Mhm.
And then you accept full responsibility for your actions for having invited who you think is an actual Nazi, as was the case for Doug Ford, as was the case for Steve Clark, as was the case for the head of Hockey Canada.
Mhm.
If you say, I accept full responsibility, and simply saying, I accept full responsibility is your consequence, you have not accepted full responsibility. And Speaker Rhoda, if you are accepting full responsibility for having invited who you say now, if not is a Nazi, is highly suspected of being a Nazi, and you're going to take that position now that yes, maybe he is, and that you do have something to apologize for rather than wait and see what the story is, maybe it's more nuanced, and you're accepting full responsibility for having brought a Nazi, full responsibility for having brought a Nazi into the House of Commons when the president of Ukraine, who's fighting literal people who are behaving pretty much like Nazis, if not
Mhm.
Nazis, is probably something that requires more than, oops, it was my bad, I accept full responsibility. You do have to resign if you believe that you've invited a Nazi in. Now, if you don't believe you invited a Nazi
Yep.
in and what you're doing is something that a government might be doing here, because there's a lot of people that are upset that the government has decided, oh my God, he's a Nazi. Ah, let's renounce him. When that really hasn't yet been established. But all this stuff that I've just said right now to bring you to the point of maybe is he really a Nazi? And you got people on the other side go, oh, saying, well, he was just a little bit a Nazi. Wow, that's a weird flex. He might not have been a Nazi at all. And he was just given a whole bunch of bad choices and he chose to live. All right. And had to do
Mhm.
unspeakable things in that capacity. We do not know. I certainly do not know. But I'm going to open the door to the possibility that it may be just a little more complicated than, aha, Nazi, we got you. You've been living in this country for 70 years, because that would raise a whole other set of questions
Mhm.
from past governments, because there's more than just him.
Yeah, but if
So,
he's been here for 70 years, I'm like,
and the whole unit was investigated during that commission and deemed to not have committed war crimes. So we probably, and Canada has the largest Ukrainian diaspora outside of Ukraine. So what, there could be up to 700
Mhm. Yeah,
people that we've let
it's
in.
all
Now they're probably not all alive now because this guy's 98, but you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
lived here all these years and there was never an issue until now.
Look, it the whole thing stinks to high heaven. It's bad optics.
Okay.
It makes everybody look horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I have not done enough reading on it
I'm
to
pleading
really form
ignorance.
an opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing yesterday is like, I'm not going to have an opinion. But what I did have an opinion on
Mhm.
is, for example, should Rhoda resign? Well, yes, of course, because he says I let a Nazi in. I accept
Yeah,
full
so
responsibility for that. Well,
he
then
gots to go.
show us. You got to be consistent with your words. That's the reason for which he needs to do it. But in that letter, right, that 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph, this initiative was entirely my own. The individual in question being from my writing
Mhm.
and having been brought to my attention.
Mhm.
By whom?
Yes.
Now, if you're wondering about how did he get there, that's the question. That's what we say in French, la question qui tue, the question that kills. Who brought this person to your attention? Who slipped this person onto your path so that you can say, oh my God, he did this in the World War II? Well, yeah, let's have him in.
Mhm.
I mean, somebody's presented to you as being a war hero like this, and you think, oh my God, I have an opportunity to do this. How much vetting are you going to do? I mean, why would somebody present someone to you as being a war hero from Ukraine if they're not? So a lot of people are
Yeah.
wondering if this person was brought to Mr. Rota's attention by a conservative, for example.
I've read that
We d- we do
conspiracy
not know,
theory.
we
We
do
don't
not
know.
know, and he is not saying. But
Right.
who brought it to his attention kind of matters. Um, but the man does live in his writing. Then you have this whole other session where Pierre Poliver and the conservatives were saying that the prime minister personally met with Mr. Hunka either before or after the ceremony.
Mhm.
That never happened.
Oh, no.
No, the
I've
PM,
read conflicting,
the prime minister's
things
office
about
has
that.
issued statements that never happened. There
Mm.
was no individual meeting. Now, here's the thing. If you do believe that the Speaker of the House did invite a Nazi, an actual Nazi, into the House of Commons when President Volodymyr Zelensky is there delivering an address fighting against people who are trying to label him as being a Nazi
A
and
Jewish
people who
man.
are actually being Nazi, acting like Nazis. You got all of that going on.
Mm.
That's bad enough on its own,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The why lie when the
Mhm.
truth will do, that's bad
Yeah.
enough on its own. But you had to add the embellishment that the prime minister met with him.
Mhm.
And then you're starting to ask about security and you're going like this, well, everybody that gets close to the prime minister must be vetted. Blah, blah, blah. And then there's political security,
Mhm.
political vetting, and physical vetting.
Mhm.
When Karina Gould, the deputy prime, well, not the deputy prime minister, sorry, the House leader,
Right.
stood up in the House to answer questions because the prime minister was not there, and Pierre Poilievre kept on asking questions of the prime minister, even though he was not there in the room because it looks good on the clippings because the House of Commons only shows you.
Mhm.
Um, she said that everybody had been vetted to be in the house. Everybody got security vetted to be in the house,
Mhm.
to be in the gallery, like everybody does when they go to the House of Commons and want to sit in the gallery. If you're sitting in the gallery, you are not considered being too close proximity to the prime minister. If I go to the House of Commons to go sit in the gallery to watch question period, I do not need to have a security check or be vetted in terms of my past. They just check my pockets, make sure I'm not bringing sharp objects or explosives.
Mhm.
And they watch me like a hawk to make sure I'm not going to be disruptive during the house. Well, otherwise, they immediately pull me out.
Mhm. Which is why I wouldn't
He
last
was
long in the
vetted
gallery.
security wise.
Not his
The
background.
speaker, yes, the Speaker of the House invites their own guests. It has nothing to do with the Prime Minister for the same reason that the um, decisions of the Governor General also have nothing to do with the Prime Minister, which is one of the reasons, for example, we mentioned on a previous show, well, why doesn't the Prime Minister just keep on living on the Governor General's grounds? Because even though it's just symbolic, it's probably not good optics for the
Mhm.
Prime Minister, the democratically elected Prime Minister, to be living on the same grounds as the non-democratically elected head of state.
Yes.
In order. So similarly, it is probably not a good idea for the Speaker of the House, who must be independent and impartial to all the members of the House, to vet his guests through the Prime Minister's office. that would be quite a violation of parliamentary privilege to give the sitting government of Canada of the day a veto on who the speaker, who serves the entire house and is impartial to everyone. Then they keep on saying, oh, why is he still in caucus? The speaker of the house is not in caucus. Oh, well, then they show us election signs saying he's running for the Liberal Party. Yes, he got elected to parliament as a member of the caucus. But the entire parliament votes on speaker. So people put their candidates up, and the candidates that are up, agree to the fact that if they are elected speaker, they are no longer a member of the party's caucus because, again, impartiality, which is probably one of the reasons why in Canada the speaker also has his own residence. It makes that look that much more official that they are a part. So just a little civic. So you got the Conservatives that have a story that's juicy on its own, who had to add to it the lies that the Prime Minister met with him, right? And had to add all these additional little tiny lies there.
Well,
If you have to lie to sell an already juicy story, you've got nothing there, and all it does is turn the attention on you. And all these hypocritical conservatives right now who are just, oh my God, the Jewish people suddenly got this instant case of hypernesia because just a few months ago, and Leslie Lewis herself has got some tweets out there doing it, having Nazi brunch. The lady who literally lunches with actual Nazis from actual Germany just months ago has thoughts about inviting Nazis to an event.
Well, so I'm reading Skippy's tweet here from yesterday at 4:44 p.m. And it says, it has come out today that Justin Trudeau personally met with an honored veteran of the 14th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS, a Nazi division. It didn't happen. So number one, lie. Liberals then arranged for this Nazi veteran to be recognized on the floor of the House of Commons during the visit of the Ukrainian president. That's a lie. That was the Speaker of the House. This is an appalling error in judgment on the part of Justin Trudeau, whose personal protocol office is responsible for arranging and vetting all guests and programming for state visits of this kind.
Yes, but not what the Speaker is going to do if the person's been... That's Zelensky's visit, the protocol and stuff.
Yes. Then he goes on to say...
Who gets to sit in the gallery of the House of Commons if the person gets the privilege of addressing the House is not part of that.
Exactly.
But they're conflating all this stuff, and these are people who know because, again, Pierre Poilievre was a member of the government for 10 years.
Yeah.
He knows how that damn PMO works.
Oh,
and so does Jenny Byrne.
But they'll twist it to suit their narrative. Now, here's what he goes on to say. No parliamentarians, other than Justin Trudeau, had the opportunity to vet this individual's past before he was introduced and honored on the floor of the House of Commons without warning or context. It was impossible for any parliamentarian in the room other than Mr. Trudeau to know of this dark past. Now, hang on a second now. You can't say, I didn't read the T-shirt when you had a photograph of a guy who had a lime green T-shirt that was saying something sexist and then make a statement like that. Well, I didn't read the T-shirt. You really think for one fucking second the Prime Minister of any nation on earth vets every visitor that he personally... That's a load of shit, and you fucking know it, you lying piece of garbage. Look, if this guy's a Nazi, fuck him. But fuck Pierre Poilievre for being a raging fucking cock on this. Oh, I'm mad.
So the Prime Minister vets every person who sits in the gallery, like the leader of the party vets every person he takes a picture with?
Tit for tat, motherfucker. I am mad this morning because this rage farming cock is the one dividing our nation. And he gets away with it. He lied several times in one tweet, and that was retweeted 7,008, almost 9,000 times. Whereas Karina Gould's tweet, the speaker has made it clear that he was responsible for inviting this individual to the House. The government played no role. It did not know he would be there. The PM did not meet him. I'm deeply troubled this happened. I urge MPs to avoid politicizing this incident. 238 retweets.
Yep.
So come on. I'm going to share this tweet in the chat if anybody wants to retweet it, because this lying prick.
Yeah, if Kit's PNC bio goes, surely the vetting should have been different when Zelensky comes. Maybe it wasn't, but it seems negligent. May well be the case, though. No, the vetting was the exact same vetting that Zelensky had when he came last time. That worked
Mhm.
without a hitch. Same vetting that the leader of Japan had when he came, the same leader as the leader of Germany had when he came. It's the same vetting. It's like we're not new at this. We've been having diplomats over for over 150 years. We kind of got it
Mhm.
down. It's not the vetting that was the problem. You got the conservatives that are conflating security vetting with entering the House of Commons with political vetting. And the political vetting applies to Mr. Zelensky. Not to everybody that's going to be on his path unless there's an actual, like, going to be a face-to-face meeting. But if there's going to be a dinner party and a reception line, yeah, everybody at that dinner party is definitely checked because you're in a room. But the gallery of the House of Commons, that's just public. I could have been there on that day. Any one of us could have been there. If you got there early enough and there was a seat, you were in there. There's no vetting for us, the people in the gallery, other than what's in your pockets, what's in your bag.
Mhm.
Pass through this metal detector, please. So, and again, the conservatives know this and they're mixing. They're mixing both. They're saying, you said he was vetted, but he wasn't because you would have known that. He was vetted for metal objects and explosives going through a security thing. Not for his past. Not for his past.
Well, and let's address this elephant in the room. If elephant, I don't even know what to label. I'm going to throw something on the screen here. Leave it up for a few seconds before I read it because this is something that is happened. It took place. We witnessed it, and it seems to have. We sharp on this, and the mainstream media let it go. But let's just put this little tweet thread on the screen here. Ben Ryan at ambionics_UK replying to Anderson AFD MDEP. You're my favorite Nazi racist, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe. Christine Anderson's reply, thanks, and I do plead guilty to all of the above. You are a breath of fresh air. I wish you were the UK Prime Minister or Canadian Prime Minister. So, Skippy still deep breaths, deep breaths,
deep cleansing breaths, deep cleansing breaths. How much time do we have, Mr. Grizzly?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. All right. Okay, let's do the Tasha thing that I wanted to do the other day then. Kits, we have been talking a lot about Tasha Carradine over the past few weeks and months. Not first coming to our attention because we knew of her clearly before, but when she wrote a piece suggesting that the Supreme Court of Canada had been incredibly politicized by our prime minister and begging him not to politicize it anymore after Justice Brown had to step down based on what happened when he was on vacation, let's say. And then this Tasha Carradine person who was working for the Patrick Brown campaign during the leadership, so doesn't support Polyev, and seemed to be, no, sorry, she was with Charest. Sorry, not with Patrick Brown, with Charest, I believe. And then they announced something called Center Ice Canadians, which was another political movement. And on the 20th, well, they announced that, yes, they're going forward as a party. Alberta businessman Rick Peterson, who once campaigned for the leadership of the Conservative Party as well. Another rich guy trying to get into politics and I guess creating their own movement. But this one seems to have the support of a certain number of moderates. Um, However, uh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's complex.
I don't know where it is that they're really going to sit on the spectrum, because what they've been saying the
Hmm.
entire time is that they want to be like the old progressive conservatives. But if you're adopting the GOP playbook of the prime minister's politicizing the court, and now she has started to get a little
Yeah,
bit friendly with the uh, hands off our kids movement
is
and
she a
all that
Pinot?
kind.
Progressive in name only?
Eh, I'm thinking that they might have decided that their bread is a little more buttered on that side financial wise. But she
Well,
pushed.
rage farming does get you money.
Yeah. Well, she wrote for the National Post again, who seemed to love publishing this stuff, an editorial called "School quote Inclusion Excludes Parents. No wonder they marched." And she goes into a whole bunch of things that I could read here to it. I'll just probably post a link so that the kids can check that out themselves. But it's just school inclusion excludes parents. You know that whole thing that we talked about, the parallel of the paradox of tolerance. Well, that's what's going on here, right? We must include people who wish to persecute some of the most vulnerable children that we have in society, or else tisk tisk tisk, terrible,
Hmm.
terrible, terrible, bad us. We are exclusionary. And I thought, okay, one, bullshit argument. School exclusion also excludes parents, just a different set of them. School inclusion can't also include those who wish to self segregate. These people can find out what's going on in class and in their schoolrooms. They can ask their kids. They can ask to see the curriculum. They can ask to speak to the school board, a teacher, whatnot, and find out. If you decide that you are, as part of society, are going to self-segregate from rest of the society, and then are upset that there's no place for you in a society from which you've segregated yourself, you are not being excluded. Two, why is Tasha working so hard to throw this red meat to the fringe? I thought she was center ice. Not so much, eh? And here
That's yeah.
she's practicing the art of what I call nice, nasty politics.
Mhm.
Because in her previous tweet, remember, time spent on ideology instead of learning is driving parents nuts and is fueling a backlash that will get very ugly very fast if politicians and educators don't pay attention. Frowny face. So she couches her
Mhm.
anti-trans tweets as concern for kids. Right? The sad face emoji is how you're supposed to know that she's sincere for the kids. That's the nice part. Right? But then the nasty part, she's intentionally framing the reality in today's classrooms as time spent on ideology instead of learning. Well, if you're doing that, then you're not caring about the kids now. You're caring about those for whose benefit you are claiming that what's going on in the classroom is ideology instead of learning, when all that's going on is learning that it's a big world
Well,
and that there are people that
the
are different and you're going to meet them, and you should be nice to people who are different, like you're nice to people who are the same.
like Elaine has here that I put on the screen, they can view the curriculum online. I don't think any of them have done that.
No, 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 no. Well,
Let alone have any of them actually spoken to students. We had one on just well yesterday morning. You saw the show. We taped it on Sunday.
yep. And the response to it has been
She
very
told
good.
us. Oh yeah,
This is
what
one
a
of the
remarkable
highest
young
view,
woman. Huh?
already one of the most view showed of the last 2 weeks.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Such a remarkable young
Yeah.
woman.
So Tasha doesn't want the backlash or the consequence of being called out for saying ideology, so she claims to worry about a backlash that will get very ugly while she's feeding that backlash. Because the brave thing, the stand up for Canada thing, remember when the Conservatives used to run on stand up for Canada, is
Mhm.
for the rest of us to make ourselves really, really, really small and really docile and really as quiet as possible, because we must live in fear of the backlash of a minority of irrational loudmouths who
Mhm.
would deliver the backlash regardless. Because feeling that they are the victims of the system gives them that sense of belonging to a group that they have not had. And everybody in that group tells them that they're the ones that are right, everybody else is wrong, and stick with us, we'll love you. Pretty much like gangs or cults. Right? Well, to that, Miss Carradine, I say, and pardon my language, Miss Grizzly's mom, but fuck no.
Mhm.
I refuse to make myself smaller and to silence myself so some overprivileged, allegedly heterosexual conservative can dictate to me how I'm supposed to feel about people wanting to trample all over the most vulnerable members of my community. And she goes, no one's trampling. No one is saying you can't be trans or straight or whatever you choose, but schools are for education. Kids are not learning basic skills and violence is off the charts. Those are the priorities schools should focus on. Curriculum should also be age appropriate. If this isn't a big ask, nor is it hateful. Which is just more BS because she says nobody's trampling. You got the Premier of Scott Moe that wants to unleash the notwithstanding clause on a group of kids. So, Miss Carradine, please, again, respect me enough to not pop a squat right over my leg as you urinate and tell me it's rain.
This thing I just put on screen from Tim, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I remember watching that film. I know which one you're talking about. I was watching it in school, and I'm like, I was 17, I think, 16 or 17 when I saw it.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet, 1968. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
I remember watching that in school. We were, it was part of the curriculum to watch the film. And I'm like, how are those parents going to feel about, well, that's historically accurate by William Shakespeare and blah, blah. I'm like, but historically accurate. It was a play. It didn't actually take place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't real.
I know.
Number one. And number two, it's part of English class, not history class. And number three, yeah, there is a nude scene in there.
Yep.
It happened. I saw it.
Yeah. So you have Scott Moe saying he's going to use the notwithstanding clause.
Yeah.
She says no one's trampling. So when a premier throws the full weight of the state behind an effort to appropriate information from a vulnerable child, no less, information that does not belong to the state or the premier, and claims that information as their own to do with what they will, if you don't call that trampling, I don't know what it is. Because if the state did the same, and we mentioned this before, with information about pregnancies, filing for marriage license, marital infidelity, or a married person going for an STD test, you'd be up in arms.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's personal information belonging to a child, suddenly you don't care. She goes, no one is saying you can't be trans or straight or whatever you choose, really, because it seems to me that what they're saying is, quote, you can be whatever you choose. Parentheses, by the way, it's not whatever you choose, it's whatever you are.
Mm-hmm.
You can be whatever you are. But if you're the wrong thing, we're going to make your life hell. Don't want us to tell your parents? Why not come into this room in which we'll throw yet more adults, like a social worker or psychologist, your way to pressure you even more into disclosing something you don't want to disclose? Oh, yes, you can be whatever you choose. You just can't be it safely. So if you want to be safe, maybe it's best you don't be your full, true, authentic self here because we won't protect you. But schools are for education, she says, and your starting bias is that children learning about the world around them and that different people make up that world and that that's okay is not education. But I digressed from the not trampling. I digress with not trampling like this. And then, so back to her original thing. Seriously, screw you, Tasha, for not only suggesting even obliquely that I or any other rainbow person should make ourselves small for the benefit of people who are going to complain anyway. And screw you for selling out trans kids, and screw you for trying to frame yourself as a virtuous person while twisting a knife into our lower backs and pulling up. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah.
You can't be doing that. I'm just...
Yeah, it's all just... Exasperating.
Why does she want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Why even?
She's a Pinot, progressive in name only.
But you see the thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's very subtle. Ideology instead of learning. And then I'm not going to show it here, but when she says nobody's trampling, it didn't take me long to go into YouTube and to find lots of videos of transgender teens being beaten at the park or on the schoolyard or whatnot. And there was just recently a case in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
I think literally on the day that she posted that, the day before that, there was a trans person named Raven who basically had her head stomped, literally being trampled.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, those are the priorities the school should focus on. Really. The priorities. Now remember again, right? Schools are for education. Kids are not learning basic skills, and violence is off the charts. So education, learning basic skills like this. And for some reason, she just threw that there's violence in the chart. Anyway. So, do you realize, given the context you've just said, that it's not a priority for schools to focus on creating a safe, loving, welcoming, positive environment for all kids? Is that really what you're going with? Curriculum should also be age appropriate. This is Canada. We've been a nation for 150 plus years. We had education systems all this time in which curriculum was not a. You're going to tell me now that we had an education system all this time in which curriculum was not age appropriate and we just realized it this summer? Again, that's what you're going with. All the teachers, all the principals, all the students that were exposed to all this pornography, all were all in a conspiracy together to keep it quiet until just this summer. And speaking of age-appropriate curriculum, you're claiming that a curriculum from coast to coast to coast today was not developed with the help of the finest pedagogues, those most likely to know what is age-appropriate curriculum available to us up until just this summer. We just realized that we have not been doing that. That's what you're running with. And speaking of age appropriate, what age, and please be specific, is too young to be appropriate to start learning that not all families and not all people are the same, and that you should treat them with respect, even if they're different? What age is appropriate to start learning that? Because I don't
can't
know how
say.
old you are, Tasha, but from the comments that you've written over the past few days, you haven't reached that age yet.
Clearly.
Unimpressed face. You are better than this, and I do not understand why it is that conservative-leaning women repeatedly agree to play dumb in public for the benefit of some men. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Well, let's just look at this. From the breakdown, our friend Nate. Why does condemning the hate marches matter so much? Because the day after they happened, kids in Kitchener lit a pride flag on fire, then threw it and rocks at LGBTQ2S plus kids.
And I know they did not learn that in school.
You can bet they didn't learn that from any curriculum. And here's the link. I'll put it in the chat.
There you
for
go.
anybody who wants to read it. I have it right here. This is the link to the article.
Yep.
And I'll post your link as well.
Yep. And said I put this story there, a link to the story about the young girl, trans girl who was beaten. The parents, some of the parents are not happy because Cape Breton parents have called for a town hall after the student was attacked, and it seems that the school just wanted to make it all go away.
Of course they did.
Some of the parents are not having that. So, all right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir. I wanna just end it on because it's been a really heavy morning. Tuesday is traditionally a lighter day than Monday. We flipped it. We flipped the script this week. So I'm going to end it with Theo and Medakis's latest cartoon. I think you'll like this. I'm going to put it on the screen and then I'll read it to you and describe it for those listening. I was wrong and I'm sorry. Belt scandal. It is a picture of Doug Ford painting himself into the corner in green with several cans of paint and paint rollers and a brush. And Greenbelt scandal written on the floor. I was wrong, and I'm sorry after he painted himself into a corner.
Yeah, Doug, again, if you were wrong, if you actually do believe you were wrong,
Mhm.
honestly, that's not a lie,
Mhm.
and you actually are sorry,
Mhm.
and the buck stops with you, I believe you said previously.
Mhm.
Consequences, choose them for yourself, or they will be chosen for you. If you're still sitting there, if you made an 8.3 at the time, now valued at $25 billion mistake that would result in the transfer of public goods, and you're standing there saying, well, no money changed hands. It doesn't matter if money changed hands. You carved off some of our institutional,
Mhm.
intergenerational wealth and decided to carve off a slice off the leg and carve it up and serve it to your buddies. I don't care what form the legal tender is in, cash, credit, American Express, Tina Turner and Private Dancer, and Dutch marks or
Mhm.
dollars, American Express will do nicely, thank you. You stole from us.
Mhm.
You tried to steal from us. That must come with a consequence other than, I'm sorry, and I won't do it again. I promise, super double pinky swear with maple syrup on it this time.
Friends, have you tried the new Timmy's sandwich?
I have a smile cookie.
Yeah.
You need to resign, buddy, or your apology means nothing. All right, kids, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Yes, and eat your Honey Nut Cheerios, says Cassie. Like, please support your local farmers and Mateo and eat your Honey Nut Cheerios. Absolutely. Very, very good. I had them before I started the show. Because sharing is caring, please let your kits and cubs know. Kits and cubs, let your peeps and poops know about us. The kits and cubs already do because they're the in crowd. They're the cool people. By telling them about our show. And if you would like to subscribe, well, then you go to our Podpage site, sponsored by the Ray Girl. That's podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, you will not miss it. And since you're subscribing, make like Kit Elaine and smash with all of our buttons. My buttons, our buttons consent to be smashed with. Like, subscribe, share. Hey, why not? The gang's all here. Click them. All right. And if you love what we do and would like to encourage us to do more, that Squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's Head here brings you to our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that will bring you to the Beaver Lodge's Emergency Hydration Fund. That's where you will find your ability. Well, our tip jar where you can leave a contribution so that we may be able to staff ourselves up with Guinness and hot chocolate and Caesar and all those lovely things that keep our voices moist. There you go, Jen. An extended one for you today.
That really creeped me out.
It was a little creepy, wasn't it?
It was
It
really
was kind of creepy. Yeah, I have to admit. Yeah, that one didn't probably come out right.
No, that creeped me out, dude.
Meant to be a little more mysteriously sexy. But see, that's why I tell you, I have no game. It's a good thing that it's a good thing my Beaver sweetie tapped me on the shoulder and asked if I wanted to dance because I'd probably still be single. Okay, and maybe even if still a virgin. Who knows? Um, no,
No, you told us that
I
Randy
was
fixed that for
I
you.
was not a virgin when I met my sweetie. I will not lie to you, kids.
Okay.
Only the facts. Only the facts. All right. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Also, because democracy is something that you do. Remember, make sure that you're ready to vote in Manitoba. And if you live in the Quebec City area in the electoral district of Jean Talon for provincial politics, you guys have a by-election going on, and early voting started yesterday, so get your votes in. All right? Rendez-vous aux urnes. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom, please?
I don't know if it's words of wisdom or it's just an observation. I'm going to put something on the screen here and then I'll make a quick comment about it. It's an interesting photograph with some Photoshop taking place, but it's what's written above the photograph that I find truly compelling. Doctor says in 10 years' time, humans will be able to live and work till the age of 120. So let's see. That means I have another 70 years to work.
Mhm.
75, I guess. No. I don't wish to do that. I don't wish to work, live and work till 120. I was hoping that I could retire in 20 years at the age of 75, which is usually 10 years prior to when many people retire, but I have no choice. So work hard, save your money, don't run up your credit cards if you can avoid it, and have a great day. That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, please roll them credits. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We have a Missadeka says, my older kids get a kick out of Paul's passion rants and Douglas's facial expressions at the same time. And
Yeah, I kind of went off today.
yes, and
apologies if anybody was offended, but you know.
And the latest in Mateo news, apparently it was not Honey Nut Cheerios this morning, but Quaker Oats Peaches and Cream, which is the best flavor.
Oh, I love the
Like,
peaches and cream
totally.
instant oatmeal.
You've got good taste, sir. I think Mr. Mateo might become our style guru. Just saying. He's
Could
on
happen.
trend. He's
Could
on
happen.
trend. All right, kids.
All right.
Have a great day.
See ya.